What happens when the most powerful man in the world cannot even be sure that the plane everyone is watching is actually carrying him?
Donald Trump has faced several extraordinary security scares over the years,
but one of the most unusual reportedly happened during last month's NATO summit in Ankara, Turkey. According to reports, Trump secretly left Turkey on a different military aircraft, while the White House maintained the appearance that the president was traveling on Air Force One. The extraordinary deception was reportedly linked to an Iranian assassination threat against Trump. And the operation was so carefully planned that even some journalists and White House staff members were reportedly led to believe that they were traveling alongside the president. So, what exactly happened? And why did Trump need to disappear from one aircraft and secretly board another? Let's take a look at some of the most dramatic security incidents involving Donald Trump.
Trump had traveled to the NATO summit in Ankara aboard a newly retrofitted aircraft.
The jet, gifted by Qatar and painted in a red, white, and navy blue color scheme, was expected to eventually become part of Trump's presidential aviation fleet. But when it was time to leave Turkey, something unusual happened. Trump did not simply board that aircraft and fly directly home. Instead, the newer jet was sent ahead. At the time, Trump offered an explanation. He said the aircraft was being flown ahead of his departure so that U.S. troops based in Eastern England could have an opportunity to see and inspect the new Air Force One. Trump then appeared in public boarding the older baby blue Air Force One jumbo jet. The president was boarding Air Force One. The aircraft then headed toward Royal Air Force Mildenhall in the United Kingdom. But according to reports, the real operation was much more complicated. After Trump boarded the Legacy Air Force One aircraft in Turkey, he was reportedly secretly transferred to a smaller plane. That meant the aircraft visible to cameras and potentially to anyone monitoring the president's movements was not necessarily the aircraft carrying him for the entire journey. Reports pointed to an Iranian assassination threat led to the change. If true, the deception would have been designed to make it much harder for anyone tracking Trump's movements to know his actual location. But this was not the first time Trump had taken an unconventional route to safety. Years before returning to the White House, Trump found himself in another bizarre security situation. The date was April 29, 2016. Trump was running for president and was scheduled to address the California Republican Convention. But outside the Hyatt Regency, near San Francisco International Airport, hundreds of protesters had gathered. So Trump's entourage had to improvise. And what happened next looked more like a scene from a movie than the arrival of a future president. Trump reportedly climbed over a low wall behind a property to reach the hotel. Police officers, fencing, and concrete barriers surrounded the area. Instead of arriving through the main entrance like a billionaire businessman and presidential candidate, Trump appeared to be sneaking into a service entrance. But that incident was nothing compared with what happened 4 years later. In 2020, America was facing nationwide unrest following the killing of George Floyd. On May 29th, demonstrations reached the perimeter of the White House. As tensions intensified outside the executive mansion, Secret Service agents moved Trump into an underground emergency bunker. The president reportedly remained there for nearly an hour. The bunker was designed to provide protection during serious emergencies. But the image of a sitting U.S. president being moved underground became a political sensation. Trump later pushed back against the characterization. He said his trip underground had only been a brief visit and described it as being more about an inspection. Trump's opponents mocked him and dubbed him Bunker Boy. And then, years later, another security incident would unfold in Florida. This time, the threat was much more direct. September 15, 2024. Trump was playing golf at Trump International Golf Club in West Palm Beach, Florida. He was reportedly on the fifth hole and preparing to line up a birdie putt. Then, a Secret Service agent moving ahead of the former president spotted something alarming: the barrel of a rifle. The suspected gunman was reportedly around 400 yards away. The situation changed instantly. Secret Service agents moved to protect Trump. Agents reportedly covered the former president with their bodies as they moved him away from the danger zone. A specially protected fast cart was used to quickly move Trump away from the area. Trump was taken to the clubhouse. He remained there until security officials determined that it was safe to move him back to Mar-a-Lago. After winning the 2016 election, President-elect Trump was discovering some of the less glamorous realities of becoming president. One evening, Trump went out for steak with his family in New York City. The destination was the famous 21 Club in Midtown Manhattan. The restaurant had a long and colorful history. It had operated during the era of Prohibition and had become associated with wealthy New Yorkers, celebrities, and political figures. But Trump was no longer simply a businessman. He was president-elect. That meant even a family dinner could become a major security operation. Police were deployed around the restaurant, and in an unusual move, a dumpster was reportedly positioned in a way that blocked the public's view. The objective was simple: stop photographers from getting a clear shot of Trump entering or leaving the restaurant.
If you like this video, then like, share and subscribe to Mirror Now.